Hello, I'm Dr. Vail Garvin, President of the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce. I am really excited to bring to you today Barbara Ann Price, President of the Village Improvement Association. And I have in my hand the history of Doylestown Hospital. So Barbara Ann, please update me in the business community. How did Doylestown get started? What's the history?
Doylestown Hospital was started in 1895 by 4 women who were not happy with the conditions, the street conditions in Doylestown. They went to the politicians and they asked them to do something about it, and when they wouldn't do anything about it, the women got together and said, we can do it. So they hired a water truck who went through town and sprayed water on the streets because there was a lot of dust. And as you know,
interesting.
If you have dust in the streets, you have asthma, you have respiratory diseases. So the ladies got started, and then later on they actually hired a visiting nurse. That was prior to the Spanish flu. During the Spanish flu, they did such a good job where they hired a visiting nurse who went around, and in about 1 month's time, she visited 741 people.
Oh my goodness.
With the help of the Red Cross. And the town was so impressed with them that when they asked the question, should we have a hospital, they said, yes, we should, because the closest hospital at the time was Abington Hospital.
So what year was that?
In 1920, well, they started to raise money, and then in 1923, they purchased the space on Pine and Oakland Avenue.
Okay.
And that was their very first hospital that they had there. And it was the Doylestown Emergency and Maternity Hospital. It had 8 rooms. Then after that, they went and they saved money and they built a hospital over on Spruce on Belmont. And then in 1975, they moved from Spruce and Belmont over to our current location. And now we're known as a regional center.
That's so amazing.
I know.
And it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're the only hospital system run by a board of women. Am I correct about that?
We actually now govern the hospital. In 1986, they divested. The women actually ran the hospital up until that time. They had hired a CEO previously, and what they decided is that it was time for them. They created 3 entities. They have Doylestown Foundation, which raises the money for the hospital. Then they have the Doylestown Hospital Physicians, and we also have the VIA. So we sit on every single board of the hospital, and we vote.
So how many women-owned facilities are there, hospital systems are there in the country?
Only one that I know.
So we're it.
We're it. We're it.
That's amazing.
That I know of.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you.
And I know you've got a big anniversary coming up.
We do. In 2023, it'll be the 100th anniversary of the hospital. So we're very excited, and we're starting to work on centennial activities for the hospital.
That's exciting.
It
so
is.
we'll be there to support you with
Well,
that.
thank
for
you.
Sure.
Yes. Yep.
Talk to me a little bit more about how you managed through the COVID period. Well, more importantly, where are we now?
Well, that's a good question, and where we are now is that the numbers are starting to decrease. As you know, there were many issues that the hospital faced, and I'll just kind of elaborate on 3 of them. One was staffing, because you can imagine people got sick, and the supply issue.
Can I interrupt you for 1 minute? I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank
to you and to all of the people that kept all of us safe and treated us during the COVID dire days.
I think that the hospital
we're grateful.
And the people who work at the hospital really are our heroes.
They are.
And they really deserve a tribute, because they're the ones who every day had to go into work, face their families, and knowing that COVID was out there and they could possibly bring it home to their families. So my many, many thanks to the people at the hospital who helped us navigate through several difficult times when we had the Delta, the Omicron issues. So yes, they really did a great job. And I must say that they did it with grace and dignity, that they treated every person that came through that door with grace and dignity.
Very difficult time. So here we are now. You were talking about labor shortage. And supply chain, are you having any issues with that?
So far, we're very fortunate in that, again, the people that we have at the hospital have managed to keep a bit ahead with the protective issues with the masks and everything else. So they've managed to keep a little bit ahead of that. But we have been hit with staffing issues. As you know, people decided that they wanted to retire. And we've also had people who have gotten sick. During the last pandemic, we had over 300 people calling sick.
Oh my goodness.
So, but
That's
you
a
know,
lot.
that's a lot. And when you figure, you know, the staffing at the hospital, but they have managed, people have stepped up where they've worked overtime. And to that end, I want to bring out a point that the week of February 14th is Hospital Appreciation Week. So the hospital wants to show their appreciation for the staff. And the VIA is, we're actually participating in that, and one of the things that we're doing is we've given money. There's a cart that goes around, and they, in order to pick the associates up where they can just go over to the cart and pick up maybe a little snack or a candy bar, and they can go around. It started in the ICU, and then it's expanded to the whole hospital.
How
so
nice.
We've donated money to do that.
Oh, that's great.
It would be really great if the community shows their appreciation for all the hard workers at the hospital. So we hope you'll join us in showing the employees at the hospital our appreciation.
We'd be happy to do that. Absolutely happy to do that.
Thank you.
And then, in honor of all that's coming up, I know you have a big campaign coming up.
Yes, I do. You know, one of the issues that we've discovered is that a lot of people have been hit by the fact that there's increased cost in fuel, there's increased cost in their housing, there's increased cost in food. So one of the things that we are creating is the Neighbors in Need Now campaign. And we normally don't go out and ask people for money. Normally what we do is we have a designer house where we raise our money. But this year, because of the supply chain issues, our designer house will not take place until the fall. But we need money now because we want to make sure that the people in our community are taken care of. And the number of people in the community that need funds is increasing. So we want to make sure that we can help them. How
do you help them?
Well, we help them in different ways. We work with different groups within the community. We work with FISH. There's quite a list of agencies, and they actually vet the people to make sure that they are indeed in need. And then these agencies come to us and we say, yes, we will give them, usually what we do is we give them $100. We've in the past given money to the Doylestown food pantry where because of COVID and they weren't accepting food, we actually gave them gift cards so that people could go out and purchase food. We also did that with the New Britain food pantry. So that's one of the things that we've done.
That's awesome. And then don't you run the clinic as well? The Ann Silverman Clinic?
No, the Ann Silverman Clinic. We do give them money to help them out. We've given them money in the past because the cost of insulin has dramatically increased.
Right.
So we've given them funds to help them. People who are in need and cannot afford insulin, we've given them money so that they can purchase insulin. One of the new things that we've just started is we have a program with the pharmacy at Doylestown Hospital where somebody is in need of medication. We're giving the hospital money so that if somebody's leaving the hospital,
wonderful?
We make sure that they go home with their medications.
That is wonderful. I just love that. So talk to me about the designer house.
Well, we're very excited this year. This year's designer house is in Buckingham, and it'll be open from September 18th through October 16th. So that's for 4 weeks, Sunday to Sunday. So we really hope that you'll join us and support us with the designer house, because that's how we raise all of our money so we can do all of our activities for the community.
I enjoy going through the designer house every year.
I know.
Is there anything else before we close, Barbara Ann, that you'd like to say to the business community? Because we are here for you.
Well,
You've been here for us.
We just ask that the community at large, when you are in the hospital, that you are respectful of every hospital employee that is there. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody that's involved with the VIA for doing all that they do for the community, for the hospital, for the doctors, and you brought together such high-level independent departments and businesses within your own organization. And I know that you personally have devoted years of your life prior to even moving into the leadership position. So thank you to you, Barbara Ann, but thank you to everybody that's part of the board of directors for the Village Improvement Agency.
Well, thank you. I just want those 14 ladies to be very proud that we have continued their heritage and that they would be very proud of what we're doing today. The last thing I'd like to say is if you notice the surroundings, this is the James Laura house, and this is the home. Sarah James donated this house to us, to the Village Improvement Association, and this is where we meet. We used to meet here monthly, but because of COVID, everything's moved to Google Meet. But welcome to our home.
Thank you. I love being here. I feel the sense of history. So God bless you and yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome. I want to thank Barbara Ann Price again for meeting with us, the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce, to discuss the wonderful work that they do on an hourly basis, day in and day out, for our community. God bless each and every one of you. Let us all stay well.